All team, give it everything you got.
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in. Never get between a Mandalorian and a weapons package.
This is the way.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
She's as important as he is.
With your hosts, Trisha Barr and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Welcome, Yeb Cubs, to Fangirls Going Rogue. This is a priority transmission. We are talking all things Season of the Force from Disneyland. I'm your host, Trisha Barr of Fangirl Blog, and with me, as always, is my bestie in the Force, Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland.
Hey, Trisha, it's so good to see you and our special guest on the show and in person. We got to see each other in person. The first time we saw each other this past week was at Oga's Cantina. Woo! All right, but also with us, I did mention a special guest. So with us, we have BJ Priester of Fangirl Blog. BJ, welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to go rogue tonight talking about Disneyland and Season of the Force.
Does that mean we don't have to go rogue? Only you?
Sure, that's fine. It's a band boys going rogue, partially.
I like it.
So we're recording this on April 2nd, so no April Fools here, 2025. We have just seen today Tales of the Underworld, a new Star Wars animated show premiering on May the 4th, which isn't that far away, just over a month. What did you guys think of the trailer?
Go ahead, BJ.
I was very excited to see Ventress back. We saw her in Bad Batch just for one little episode, and so it felt like it might be a backdoor pilot for something. So these Tales of seasons have been sort of two characters, 3 episodes each, and so it's very cool that one of them is Ventress.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I saw that Asajj Ventress, I was like, okay, this ties in with Bad Batch, the episode that we saw. And then Cad Bane, there's one image of him without his hat on, and he looks so funny. He's got like a big bald head.
I feel like that's a Dave Filoni joke, that like nobody recognizes him without his hat.
I like that. Trisha, what do you think of the trailer?
I was really excited. I was not expecting it. It literally said it was like up for 2 minutes when I saw it on, when social media say it's been on. I'm like, wait, is this like a joke? No, it's for real. It's not April Fool's. That's why they did it on the 2nd, I'm sure, because we're going to be like, what? So very exciting. I sort of felt like BJ said that we were going to get more Asajj based on what we had seen in the Bad Batch. So glad to see that that feeling was true.
Yeah. Absolutely. And who doesn't love more Star Wars from Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck? And I believe Athena Portillo is also involved in this. Yeah. And it just brings me right back to that first Tales of the Jedi panel that we were invited to on that one Sunday of Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim. We had no idea what to expect, and it ended up being like our favorite panel of the entire weekend. So that's just a continuation of that feeling, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe at Star Wars Celebration in Japan, which is less than 2 weeks away, that we might get a little bit more of a look. There is a Star Wars animation panel there that is going to feature Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck, so maybe we'll see a little bit more.
Maybe you'll see an episode.
Ooh, yeah. Hopefully it's a Asajj episode. I know some people really like Cad Bane, but Asajj is like the one that she just like, I don't know, she's my dark side girl.
I agree.
And one of the places that we used to see Asajj Ventress was Star Wars Weekends.
That's right.
Yeah. So I remember she used to have great interactions with the kids. She got to be one of the, bad guys that they fought against when they were doing multiple levels. When it was more than Vader, she would be one of the villains as well. So I kind of miss seeing her there. But We have, I'd say, Star Wars weekends light at Disneyland. This is called Season of the Force, and that's what we're going to be discussing. This is going to be your guide if you want to go, tips and tricks. And if you're not going, just sort of look, see at what happens at Disneyland for the Season of the Force.
Yeah, Season of the Force is March 28th through May 11th this year. Plus, there's also Disneyland After Dark Star Wars nights on select nights during Season of the Force. I believe it's select nights from April 8th through May 11th. So let's dive in. And we all went on opening day of Season of the Force. And so let's go around and share our favorite thing about Season of the Force. BJ, let's start with you.
Oh, it's so hard to pick, and I don't want to jump on other people's joy. But I will say one of the things I love doing at Disney parks is trying different weird, wacky seasonal food things that they offer. Being in Florida, we get multiple festivals at Epcot, for example, things like that. So I definitely splurged on trying a bunch of the food and beverage items that they have in the limited run Season of the Force time frame, some of which are in Tomorrowland and some of which are in Galaxy's Edge. But some of them were actually pretty good. I kind of had fun just checking out menus and buying things, and yeah, it was good.
It's always fun buying things, right? Just lay down your money. I love that. Well, we're going to get more into detail about the food a little later. So, Trisha, can you share your favorite thing?
Yeah, my favorite thing is the Luke Skywalker walk around meet and greet that you can do in Batu. I mean, he's the OG, right? And
Mhm.
to actually get to see him, and I thought the guy did a great job, the actor. I know we're supposed to pretend like he's really real, but we know there's an actor in there. But it felt I was so freaking out when we actually got to do the meet and greet that I couldn't even like function. Like my brain shut down. That's how much I fangirled at that moment.
Aw, that was so sweet. And I think he like clasped your hand, right?
He
Said
did.
something. Yeah,
He did.
that's amazing. Aw.
I'm gonna pretend like he whispered sweet nothings in my ear. He was one of my first crushes. So
Oh,
just
that's
going back to
so it's kind of like if Han Solo was wandering around and
absolutely, I would
said,
freak out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. That's very cute.
I don't know. I can do like Mando and Grogu because you're sort of distracted by Grogu. He's so cute, and Mando's kind of cool. And Ahsoka, I feel like she's just your bestie anyway, and that's the vibe you get. But it's like the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then when R2D2 is with him, it's even cooler. It's like the best. Awesome. Well, my favorite thing, it kind of comes back to Star Wars celebrations and what was that? We were talking about Star Wars weekends and stuff. It's more about the people you see. I mean, me being a local to Disneyland, we see a lot of people there a lot of times. And when it's a Star Wars themed thing, we see even more of the people that we know and have fun with in Disneyland. So to me, it's like a mini family reunion. And I think my favorite thing about that day was that Oga's Cantina. BJ, you were like searching on the app and you got us a reservation at Oga's Cantina at 10:40 in the morning, which was really fun. We had just arrived and so there was 6 of us, Julie and James Gildersleeve were also there. And it's kind of luck of the draw where you're seated though, because sometimes you're seated in one of those cool booths, but you're like sharing it with another family and it can be awkward at times. I don't know. Or you're stuck at the bar, which is cool to look at the bar, but it's not conducive to chatting. But all 6 of us were put at this counter height table, this round little table for the 6 of us, and we all kind of crowded around and it was a really fun, intimate experience. And I don't know about you guys, but I had a great time and it was great trying all that new food and drink.
We had a little extra magic too, right? The server brought extra fuzzy tauntaun out for
Yes.
Richard. Yeah.
It was. That was cool. So that was my favorite.
I'd
Yay.
almost wish they would do more, like change those long stand up tables to more like what we were at. Cause that would be, I feel, more like a bar where you could just kind of gather around like we were doing.
I agree. I agree. I was so glad we didn't have to share a table with anyone. Just made it all that much better.
All right. So let's go to kind of our overall impressions for this year. So this is we did it last year and we're doing it again for the second time. How did you feel about this season of the Force, BJ?
It's always hard to judge the opening day because they're just getting it rolling. And so, for example, one thing we encountered early in the morning was so one of the other cool things that would maybe be my other favorite about this whole event is they reskin regular Space Mountain into Hyperspace Mountain, which honestly should be all year round, but whatever. I know they have their seasonal haunted mansions and stuff out there in California too. But we went over to check out the store. But anyway, we were over there in Tomorrowland with Hyperspace Mountain, and the Hyperspace Mountain was not showing up on the My Disney Experience to book lightning lanes. And
Oh.
so there were all these people like trying to book the lightning lanes, and they couldn't book them because it's literally not a choice in the app. And so everyone was having to get in the standby line. And as you can imagine, in a rope drop, there's hundreds of people running for Hyperspace Mountain. And so single rider was open and regular line was standby line was open, but they couldn't do a lightning lane. And it took them probably what, Trisha, 2 hours maybe or something like that for it to show up in the app. And to be able to book it. So, just little things like that where you're like, okay, opening day, like maybe they don't have all the kinks worked out, of how they're going to launch it. So that's why sometimes it's hard to judge what the whole, 2-month experience is going to be like off of that opening day. But a lot of the other stuff, the same thing at Galactic Grill where they had the swizzle sticks, which is a really fun little merch item from this year. When we went in the morning, you could only get the blue drink with the blue lightsaber swizzle stick. And I kept checking. And by the end of the day, you could order the red one, the Vader one too. So there were definitely some of these, like, took some time to roll it out. But
were you ever able to order that burger? Because I tried to order that burger midday that was at Galactic Grill. That was like the new burger. It looked like a Greek kind of burger. I really wanted to try it, and I was never able to add it to my order on mobile app.
I didn't try to do that one.
Okay.
But I've definitely had that issue before too, both in Disney World and Disneyland, where there's supposed to be a menu item that it just is not an option there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I also felt that this day seemed a little very low key. And I feel like the main phrase that was used when we talked with the food people and the merchandise people team is it's a slow rollout. We're rolling things out slowly. It's like because a lot of the merchandise and popcorn buckets are coming by like April 8th, which is a week and a half after it started, or by May 4th, which is, almost a month after this whole thing began. So I wonder if the team decided last minute to move up that opening day of Season of the Force because of the Disneyland 70th celebration, which obviously the theme park is focusing on.
Yeah, and they feel like they're spreading out the merchandise stuff because there's some people just coming there to get the Death Star popcorn buckets.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely saw people with like rings of popcorn buckets around them.
There was a picture on Blue Sky of some guy. I think he had 20 buckets
of the Death Stars.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he had them in bags and like over his shoulder, and then some of them draped around his body, probably about 10 just draped around his body, and 2 huge bags full of them. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, people.
And they were limiting to 2 per person, but I think it was literally like they came in with a group and everybody got 2, and this was the guy who was tasked to like walk them back to the car or something.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 per person per transaction. So, I mean, you could keep going back.
But yeah, there was a lady, there was that mom there. That's what she was doing. She just kept mobile ordering and going back up to the window. So I guess if everybody in the family wants one, then everybody in family can get one.
That's true. That's what you do.
And you can get popcorn. I'm just not a popcorn bucket person in general. I have a few certain ones, but it's like some people have to have them all. So that they're like more space than my Loungefly bags, I think.
Oh, well, yeah, you're the Loungefly collector. We're the popcorn bucket collectors. And we have talked with Marcus Gonzalez, who used to work for Disney and create those popcorn buckets. And he mentioned that Disneyland specifically over Disney World, they order like 3 times as many popcorn buckets for Disneyland because we're nuts for them over here.
Yeah. I mean, the really big popcorn buckets are the Figment related ones. It seems
Yeah.
to be a Disney World, but yeah, I do. Although
Very
I
true.
do like the Thumper one for
It's so cute.
Easter.
The Thumper
Is very
Easter
very
one.
cute. Yeah,
I'm still deciding. I'm like, should I get that? Yeah.
I saw him over at DCA, and he was very very cute.
Mm-hmm.
So, BJ, do you want to explain kind of how they have the food like located between the park?
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, there's in Disneyland, unlike Hollywood Studios in Florida, the Star Wars is kind of spread out across the park because there's Star Tours was put in Tomorrowland, which is a good thematic fit when it was just Star Tours, and then Hyperspace Mountain re-theme ends up essentially next door to that. So that's pretty cool. And then they have some of their food and beverages there in Tomorrowland because there's Star Wars stuff in Tomorrowland. And then obviously in Disneyland, Galaxy's Edge is in Disneyland Park, kind of on the whole other end of the park over by Adventureland and Frontierland. So there's food items in Batuu. So in Tomorrowland, the main set of food and also related merchandise like the sippers and the popcorn buckets and the swizzle sticks, those are all at Galactic Grill, which is the main really large, I think it's got what, 6 or 7 pickup windows in Tomorrowland Terrace there. So, you can do, as Sarah mentioned, you can do mobile order. You can do mobile order for, there's a burger, there's a loaded fries. I really like that. It was pretty tasty. There's a couple of drinks. There's a punch. There's a limeade. There's the slushies that come with the swizzle sticks. And all of that you can mobile order, or you can go up to the window and order at Galactic Grill. And then there's a few other things that are just at the little carts, right? Not in the restaurant. So there's a churro cart that has the red and blue lightsaber churros. And there's a pretzel cart that has a special pretzel. It's hard to describe. It's called the Pika pretzel, but it's basically so one of the things they have at Disneyland that we don't do as much in Florida is they don't just have the pretzels, they have stuffed pretzels. So this is a pretzel stuffed with cream cheese.
Gross.
And then the top of it is basically, I would describe it as like a fancy glazed donut. Like if you've ever been to like a fancy donut shop where they do really elaborate toppings on their donuts. That's kind of what it reminded me of. There's like a flavored glaze on it.
Like Voodoo Donuts, right? Voodoo.
Yeah, like a Voodoo Donuts or an Everglazed Donuts in
Yeah.
Disney Springs here in Florida. And then it had like Oreo cookie crumbles on top of the glaze. So it was like a pretzel with the glaze with the crumbles. And the combination of flavors, I actually kind of liked it.
I don't think one person could eat a whole one of those though, right? It's like a giant Mickey pretzel.
When I saw the picture, I thought it would be like more like the hand-sized pretzel.
Yeah.
But it really is like the Mickey giant pretzel.
Wow.
Size, yeah, so.
Oh my. I kind of want to try it just because of the ube flavor, and I really like ube. Right? Is that what it is? Ube?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's purple. Yeah, it's
okay. Yeah. And I really like the ube flavor. That's like very popular right now, and I like it. But I don't know. I don't know about the cream cheese stuffing though.
Yeah, I probably would have liked it more if it were just a regular pretzel.
Okay.
Topped. And also because it makes it even messier to eat because it's not just a pretzel with like drippy glaze and cookie crumbles. It's also then leaking from the inside because the cream cheese is like squishing everywhere. So yeah, it was a bit much, but I mean, I liked it. Like you said, I liked the flavor. Like it was tasty, but yeah,
it's definitely something to share and get extra napkins.
Okay.
Yes.
And maybe a knife and fork.
Nice.
Yes. So that's Tomorrowland. And then over in Galaxy's Edge in Batuu, then basically every dining place over in Batuu has something special for Season of the Force. And just depends on, how extensive it is based on, the different places. So Ronto Roasters had a fried cheese stick.
That was
growing
good.
up in Minnesota. It reminded me of like the fried cheese sticks that you get like the Minnesota State Fair, Iowa State Fair, Wisconsin State Fair kind of thing. Just like, pickled on a stick. You can put anything on a stick, fry it and put it on a stick in the upper Midwest. But, so it was like fried cheese, like a cheese curd, if you've ever had cheese curds, fried cheese on a stick. That was pretty tasty. The popcorn place had a slushy drink. Docking Bay 7 has the most. That's the sit down, quick service sit down restaurant in Galaxy's Edge. They had a few good things. And then Oga's Cantina, mostly actually this time around, had new drinks. They didn't have any new food items on their menu, just a couple new drinks. But including the thing they launched for Season of the Force is they've had in the past, when it opened 5 years ago, they had the Ewok drink with the Ewok mug. And then it was about a year and a half ago or so, they did the Lothcat drink with the Lothcat mugs. And so now they have an ale beer drink with the Mythosaur mug. So if you're a fan of the Mandalorians or Boba Fett and you like that Mythosaur design, you can now get essentially a mug of the same type as those other Ogre's Cantina mugs, but with a giant carved Mythosaur face on one side of the mug. So that was pretty cool. I'm not a huge beer drinker, so I was, not super impressed with the ale itself, but the mug was great.
Well, the beer was supposed to be the Hefeweizen with some cherry like puree in it, and we both could not taste any cherry in it. So I think that might have been also a casualty of the first day drink, that they hadn't quite figured out the right mix for that drink yet.
Yeah, they may have just served us the regular ale in the mug rather than the special version of the drink. But it's fine. I was gonna pay. I was gonna getting it for the mug, so
You're funny. I love that Lothcat mug though. It's so cute.
Yes. So does people want to share their favorites? I mean, my favorite of everything was the blue churro. Would not eat the red churro. Do not like cinnamon. I like churros, so I'm going more traditional here. Blue churro and the dewback chili noodles at Docking Bay 7, which was ground pork, spice fettuccine, and Brussels sprouts, and they were spicy. The noodles were spicy. Like, make sure you have a drink. But if you like a little heat, I think last year we complained a little about things were too spicy in general for Season of the Force. This was the only thing I found that was really, really spicy this year.
Yeah, I agree. That was, well, okay. So I had an experience. So we talked with Chef Adolfo at the Season of the Force things. Richard and I talked with him, and he was talking up a couple of the items at Ronto Roasters, like the fried Falumpasset cheese skewer, which we were talking about, and also the Keshian spiced milk tea. And so he was saying that the milk tea was like this horchata jelly, and it has like flavors of cinnamon and clove, and I really like those flavors, so I was like expecting warming spices. So we went right to Ronto Roasters after speaking with him, and I tried this Keshian spiced milk tea, and I took one sip and I nearly spit it out because it was so sweet. It was like, it was all just
It was
sweet.
not what you were expecting.
No, I'm expecting this warming spice with milk, like I don't, yeah, and it was just like, whoa. So if you're into sweet drinks like Richard liked it, then that's, go for it. But if you like the bitter coffee with just cream or just black, you won't like this. But I think my favorite thing, I'm trying to think. Oh gosh, there's a lot of fun things, but they have these new pizza flavored Galma chips, and they were really good. The Galma chips, they used to have ones that are garlic flavored, and now they have moved on to pizza flavor. So I guess pizza is now a Star Wars canon because it's pizza flavored, and that was really good. I liked that.
BJ, favorite?
I think my favorite. Well, I wanted to say one thing about the churro.
Oh,
The other thing that Disneyland gets credit for is in Florida for Star Wars weekends all those years, and sometimes even outside of it, we get the blue and red lightsaber churros. But it's just literally blue sugar. Whereas in Disneyland, it's actually flavored blue sugar.
what is the flavor of the blue?
Blue raspberry.
Sour blue raspberry. Yeah.
See, I'd rather have the cinnamon one.
So I like that it's actually not just like a regular churro that happens to have color on it. It's actually a flavor churro. So I like that. I think my favorite food item actually was not in Batuu. It was the loaded outpost fries in Galactic Grill, which is a little misleading in the title because really what it is, it's like loaded nachos in the sense that it's pulled pork barbecue, cheese, onions, some other things like that. So it's like basically the toppings of a loaded nachos, but then it's fries and onion rings. And so they call it loaded fries, but it's really not. It's like a half and half fries and onion rings. So that was really tasty because the pulled pork was good and the loaded nacho flavor was good. But then you could sort of change between the crinkle fries and the onion rings. So I really like that. It's certainly something that it's not super Star Warsy other than they called it Outpost fries, right? I mean, they could be a year-round menu item and just call it loaded fries. But still, it was one of my favorites. I will say, because like a comment on it, the fried cheese actually was pretty good too. Again, it's only Star Wars really because they gave it a Star Warsy name and made it look a little different than just it doesn't look like a corn dog. It has a little more texture to it than like a corn dog shape. But the flavor of it was really